My name is Pauly Gomez. I am 35 now, just turned 35. Married with a 15-and-a-half-month-old. My wife and I just found out we're expecting our second one, so the family's getting bigger. Well, I was born in '78, back in New York, born and raised in New York. My aunt and uncle, they were born-again Christians, and I'd always go to Sunday school every now and again when I'd stay over at my cousin's house. So I did hear the gospel. I did know about Jesus. I never committed my faith or my life to him or developed a relationship with him growing up. My mom was single. She ended up marrying an abusive gentleman who drank a lot and did drugs, and he was physically and verbally abusive to both my mother and I. So needless to say, I spent a lot of time away from home, trying to get away from just that environment, and the only thing I could run to is just kids on the streets. That led me to starting, I know it's kind of cliche, but smoking cigarettes. You know, that's where it all started. I was like 10, 11, 12, something like that. And then drinking beer, and then it led to marijuana, and then cocaine, and just anything and everything that this world had to offer is what I was all about. And it was never enough. I could always follow and chase after it, and I was never filled. I was always hungering for something more and something bigger and better. And that led me down a path of destruction, not just for myself, but my family and friends. I spent time in jail. I was in the hospital, inpatient, outpatient programs. I mean, you name it. And I've tried everything that this world had to offer to get help some way or another. And I was always doing it for somebody else, or, you know, trying to make my family happy, or trying to make my girlfriend happy, or, you know, I was always trying to make somebody else happy. And I ended up in jail for about 3 months. And I was getting close to at the end of my rope. And as soon as I got out, and I was living in New York, as soon as I got out, I pretty much went back to what I was doing. You know, hanging out on the streets, same crowd, you know, doing drugs and drinking all the time and just causing trouble. In order to change my situation, I figured maybe my location this time would change things up again. You know, and I'd moved to North Dakota, I had been to Florida, I've been all over the place running. And I ended up in Virginia, and I stayed at a cousin's house, and she kind of took me in, let me stay on the couch, and I got a job pretty quickly doing construction. Ended up working with a guy who was doing drugs, and moved in with him, and it was only a matter of like minutes before I started doing the same thing again. So I come to find out that it wasn't where I was, or, you know, I wasn't running from something, or, you know, because no matter where I go, there I am. It wasn't the location, it wasn't the people, it was me. So all those years running across the country and running from people and my problems, always finding them again. Because the whole time, putting the blame on different things, I never owned up. I never owned up to my own iniquities. Well, my cousin, he was working with some teens, on the street teenagers, here in Oregon, which is eventually how I come to be here in Oregon. And he was praying for me. He'd always be praying for me, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude, let me get $20, man," you know, or something like that. He's like, "No, I'll take you to McDonald's, get you a burger or something," you know, because I don't know, I lost a lot of weight, you know, doing lots of drugs. I looked like a dirty Q-tip or something, you know. So, but yeah, you know, my cousin, he was living life, and he'd gotten married, and he started his family, and he was helping teenagers on the streets out here. And I remember I remember like it was yesterday. My moment of clarity, just divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. It's my moment with God. And I happened to be on the streets again after all the things I was doing. I ended up losing my apartment, or the house that I was renting with that guy doing construction, and ended up losing my job. Lost my pickup truck. It sounded like a bad country song or something, you know. You know, I lost my everything, and I ended up on the streets, and it was New Year's Day. It was 2:30 in the morning, New Year's Day, and I was walking down the streets, and I had two army bags, you know, like sea bags, And all my possessions were in these 2 bags. Everything I owned. I had a bottle of liquor in my hand. And that's all I had in this whole world. So all I had was the stuff that was on my back and in my hand. And I kind of got stuck in my tracks. I just couldn't take another step. And I was standing, even though I was standing in the middle of the street, there was no cars, you know, it was just a back road in Virginia somewhere, you know. But 2:30 in the morning on New Year's Day, I looked up at the moon, and it looked bigger than I ever seen it in my entire life, you know. And I was about 28 at the time. And I'd been all over the country, and I'd seen lots of things, but I'd never seen the moon look the way it did that night. And it was biggest. It was the biggest thing I had ever encountered in my whole stinking life. You know, it's like the moon was shining just for me. And that was my moment. And I said to God, I said, if you're as good as everybody says that you are, then please help me. I can't take this anymore. I'm lost, I'm scared, and I'm alone. And I don't want to live this way anymore, you know? After saying that, I just prayed. It's like, Lord, I need some help. Please, Father, help me. You know, maybe there's something to this. You know, maybe there is something to this. I mean, I got nothing to lose and everything to gain by giving it a shot. So, I talked to my cousin on the phone, and periodically, he told me, hey, if you're really serious about getting help, there's a program in California, okay? It's called Set Free Ministries, and they help people get off the streets, you know, kind of rough, kind of dude like myself. You know, I was hanging out with like bikers and stuff like that. And I landed in California on January 17th. And then there was that 1-year program, and there was a men's like ranch, men's camp out in the mountains near Tecate, Mexico. And we get on this bus and drive for about an hour through the mountains in the middle of nowhere to this hotel that was converted into a men's ranch. Just, you train to serve Jesus. There's no books, there's no TV, there's no radio, nothing but the Bible and just a good curriculum. So I stayed there for, well, you're supposed to stay there for 3 months, but I stayed for 6 because I was really enjoying it. And I got into leadership, you know, and I was helping out, doing a lot of work and stuff like that. You gotta kind of work your way through the program. So I stayed there for about 6 months, and then went to the next phase of the program, ended up graduating after my year. And coming close to the end of my year, my cousin asked me if I would come here to Oregon to help him with youth ministries. I wanted to see my family and this new belief in Christ. I said, yeah, you know, I want to help those that are in the same spot that I used to be in. Now, the day that I committed my life to Christ, it was Good Friday. I'll never forget it. That first year on Good Friday is when I truly figured out everything. I realized what He died for, how I treated that all those years, and I didn't want to dishonor my father anymore. So I committed my life to Christ, and I've been on fire ever since.